Today we are talking about Ernest Hemingway, who was an American novelist. So Ernest Hemingway had many pen names, and Bombay, Champ, Ernest Stoic, Ernie, Hem, these were his famous pen names. But he was more commonly known as Papa, which was his nickname. So he was called by this name by so many people around. Hemingway is an American novelist who was a Nobel Prize winner novelist. He was born on 21st of July 1899 and died in 1961. He was an American novelist, short story writer, journalist, and sportsman. He had many hobbies with him. His economical and understated style, which he termed the iceberg theory, had a strong influence on 20th century fiction, while his adventurous lifestyle and his public image brought him admiration from later generations. So, iceberg theory that I was talking about, it is a writing technique coined by Ernest Hemingway. So, as a young journalist, he had to focus his newspaper reports on immediate events with little context or interpretations. When he became a writer of short stories, he retained his those habits with him, like his all those passions with him, and at the same time, he retained his minimalistic style, focusing on surface elements without explicitly discussing underlying themes. So, this is his iceberg theory, that focusing on the main thing that is visible, just like an iceberg. Underneath it is too big, but apparently it seems so minor. Like there was an iceberg which led to the destruction of Titanic, you must be knowing. Hemingway was awarded with Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. He published seven novels, six short story collections, and two non-fiction works. Three of his novels, four short story collections, and three non-fiction works were published posthumously, like after his death. So Hemingway led an adventurous life. He was a person of great adventurous life. He was a boxer, he was an ambulance driver, he was a writer, he was a teacher, he was a novelist, he was a fisherman. So there's much to say about Hemingway. So whenever we are appearing in some selection board for lectureship in English or teaching in English, there is always a question that who is your favorite writer? And most of the times we are expected to have a grip on some particular writer. So in that way, I would suggest that choosing Hemingway is a very fine idea. Like if we choose Hemingway, Hardy, and Jane Austen. So these three novelists, they are so good in a way. Like we find difference in their storyline, but they have same themes which are prevalent all through the novels, the same thinking, same philosophy. So Hemingway in his seven novels is having the same philosophy, except for his novella, The Old Man and the Sea. In Old Man and the Sea, he says a man can be destroyed but not defeated. But he has different philosophy in rest of all his novels which were written before. Hemingway tells about the life of a person in his novels who is suffering from war, or his storyline is within war or post-war experiences, that a person is suffering from mental or physical injuries which he received through the war or which he is still receiving through the war. Love and war are always parallel themes within his novels. So, first of all, his autobiography that he depicts in all his novels, like he was himself a teacher, so he shows Jordan to be a teacher in For Whom the Bell Tolls. He was a fisherman, so he depicted himself in the character of the old man in Old Man and the Sea. He was a bullfight lover, aficionado, and he depicted this in so many characters of The Sun Also Rises. He was an ambulance driver, a volunteer soldier, and an ambulance driver, which is depicted in Farewell to Arms. He was in love with a girl who was a nurse there when he was injured in an attack. So this love affair is also addressed in so many novels, especially in Farewell to Arms, which is highly autobiographical novel of Hemingway. Moreover, his passion for boxing is also reflected in Sun Also Rising and many other stories that he has written. His hopeless behavior of lost generation and nihilistic attitude that is depicted in all his novels and especially in his short stories like The Killers, in which a person knows that some people are coming to kill him, but he is not running away. He is just waiting for the moment to come, what happen may. So in this way, Hemingway is telling about all his life through his novels. So his novels are highly autobiographical. Now, his characterization is very important. He gives us two kind of characters in every novel. So his main character, who is known as Hemingway hero, the protagonist. So the protagonist is also known as Hemingway hero and Tyro, Tyro. So that Tyro is a person who is non-professional, who is immature, who is young, and who is inexperienced. So that person is basically the protagonist who is suffering from mental or physical injuries, and he has developed kind of a hatred or a hopeless attitude towards life, and he is an escapist. He's an escapist person who finds solace in so many activities, and he wants to forget the horrors of war, and he wants to go to escape through fishing, through boxing, and through so many activities. And a second characterization or second kind of person that he creates is a code hero, which is like a foil in dramatic technique. So that code hero happens to be a person who is professional, normally aged, a mature person, and he faces the life, he fights the life, and he does not shrink from it like the hero, the Tyro. So ये दो तरह के कैरेक्टर उसके नॉवेल्स में हम देखते हैं कि they both are working side by side. Now, one more important thing about Hemingway's construction of his novels is the use of two terms, nihilism and lost generation. Nihilism is an attitude in which a person feels meaninglessness in life, there is no purpose left for him to live in life, and there is no aim for him is left for which he could survive. So nihilistic attitude is there all through his novels. And he coined the term, like he used the term coined by Gertrude Stein, which is lost generation. He used the term that we are all lost generation. So this is about those people who face this meaninglessness of life. For them, life has become meaningless and they have got no purpose or aim left in life to fulfill or to live for. Now, this happened when all these people went to the war, like Hemingway himself went to the war. So when they went to the fronts like volunteer soldiers, they were having kind of fascination as if they were playing PUBG game, or they will have some people sitting over there and they'll have back counting that out of 30 they have to kill people, then 30, 29, 28, and they have been killing people with sniper guns. No. When they went to the fronts, they realized that this is not kind of war they were expecting. And there in those things, in those places, they came to know that sometimes the plane is bombarding, sometimes there are mines on which if they step, they can die at once. And then they saw their loved ones being killed in front of them. Brothers saw brothers died. Father saw his sons dying in front of his eyes. So these things and these, like if you see an accident that has its imprint on your mind for a very long time, it gives you a lasting effect. So these people who were non-professional soldiers, who were volunteer soldiers, they saw so many deaths in front of them that they were sick of their life. They wanted to go back to their places, to United States, to US, to Indo-Pak, but they could not. So eventually they had to live there. So to kill the time, to pass this meaninglessness of life, because they knew that now escape is impossible, so they sought for time being escape and they went to brothels, to prostitutes, they enjoyed it, and finally they got bored of this activity. They took drugs, they went on to drinking, and even they were fed up of this thing. And out of these people, some of them who were fortunately or unfortunately saved, who came back to their places, their homes, there they realizes that the real punishment, the real task of war has started now. Because they, like in The Boy Comes Home, that is a short story or a play, uh, all the people who came back from the fronts after 4 years, they saw कि उनके साथ वाले लोग उनसे 4 साल आगे निकल चुके हैं. They have studied 4 years, they have got plenty of degrees, they have got plenty of talent, new creativity, novelty, and the use of technology, new businesses. And these people who are volunteer, they came back with nothing with them, and every person in society was 4 years ahead of them. So this also added to the meaninglessness of their life. And then these people were the lost generation who were suffering from nihilism. So lost generation is the patient and nihilism is the disease they're suffering from. So these people started facing those facets of life which it was showing to them. Most of them could not sustain. I would here like to give a reference of a movie, like it was an Academy Award winner movie or Oscar winner movie. So in this movie, we find that there were certain people who were jailed, who were in prison. The movie is Shawshank Redemption, a 1994 film. The Shawshank Redemption. So in that movie, we see that there is a prisoner who has been in jail for a very long time. Now he's old. He's working with librarian. He gives books to the people there, all the prisoners, and then he collects book from them and adjusts them back into the places. And he has a family-like environment there. Once he is told that he is free and his that imprisonment is over, he can go back. So he takes his money, his clothing, he goes out. There is no one in society who knows him. His family is long dead. So he goes and hires a hotel. There he stays for some days, and then eventually he kills himself by hanging on the in the same room, like under the fan. So this is how he kills himself, because there was no purpose left for him in outer world. All his life was there in prison, though we find it a place where our liberty is snatched, but he felt that his liberty was snatched when he was given freedom. So in this way, when these people came from war, most of them felt the nihilistic attitude, meaninglessness of life, and they eventually killed themselves. Hemingway too was one of them who killed himself with his own shotgun later on. But the strange thing is that whenever he was writing those 7 novels having the philosophy of lost generation and nihilism, he was able to face all those things. But when he was writing Old Man and the Sea, which was a later novel of his time, in which he was saying that a man can be destroyed but not defeated, but he himself was defeated, he himself destroyed himself, he killed himself, maybe out of all those depressions that he sought all through the plays, all through the novels, all through his life. He like Hemingway, also tells his life through a person who was a volunteer soldier, ambulance driver in A Farewell to Arms. So A Farewell to Arms is like a title having pun. Like it has two meanings: saying farewell to the army, because a person discards or leaves the army, abandons it, and goes to Switzerland with his beloved. And secondly, his beloved dies and at the time of her childbirth, and this is a time when he has to say farewell to her arms as well. So in this way, we find that Hemingway is a person who was having his physical and mental injuries with him, which were aftermaths of war, and those remained with him till the end of his life. So all those volunteer soldiers who volunteered them to go to the war, they suffered these horrors, that for 4 years they were living a life of aimlessness in which they could die anytime. But when they survived, they came back to the places and they knew that there was nothing left for them, because they had already enjoyed the relations with prostitutes. They had already been habitual to drinking, and they were fed up of that thing too. So in life, they felt that there is no pleasure left, and eventually many of them, they killed themselves. And it was not only the non-professional people, even the professional soldiers, they were so sick of the war that many of them killed themselves. So Hemingway happens to be one of those people who very vehemently depicts his own life in his works, and his works are really creation of his experiences that he saw in the war. उसके पोस्ट वॉर एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, उसके विद इन वॉर एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, और उसमें लव एंड वॉर बोथ वर्क एज पैरेलल थीम्स. लाइक वी फाइंड के मोहब्बत और जो जंग है, ये पैरेलल थीम्स इसकी लाइफ में चलते हैं हर नॉवल के अंदर, जिस तरह इसकी लाइफ में चल रहे थे. व्हेन ही फेल इन लव विद अ नर्स, अपेरेंटली वो एक इनिशियल जो रिलेशन था वो बड़ा एक टाइम पास रिलेशन था, विच ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इनटू लव रिलेशन वेरी सून. So justifying Hemingway as your favorite writer is very good, because the same philosophy runs through all his novels except in Old Man and the Sea. So you can clearly say just up stories इसकी different हैं, बाकी same philosophy है जो कि इसके तमाम novels में चलती है. So that is all about Hemingway and his novel creation of characters and his philosophy. Thank you very much.